Welcome back. I'm Michelle from YFS, and with me again is Mel from the YFS Legal team. How you going?
Good, thank you.
Good. Okay, so we've had a bit of a chat about what is domestic violence, applying for a DVO or a domestic violence order. Let's have a chat about what happens at court, okay, because I imagine that that's quite a bit of a process for people as well. So what's the starting point with the court process?
So that depends on whether you're the person who's making the application or if you're the person who's named as the respondent or the perpetrator in that application. So if you are the person who's making the application, you have to lodge your application at court.
Yes.
And they may ask you to come into court and speak to the magistrate that very day.
That day, yeah. And so you talked about that in the last video.
Last video, that's right.
And essentially, if it was a situation where it was identified that you were at high risk possibly or something like that, they may want to do that straight away on the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if that does happen to you, you file your application, they say we'll take you in right away. They'll usually ask if you want to speak to a duty lawyer. There's usually a lawyer on duty who can give you some legal advice.
Right.
If that's available to you, you can accept that. That's free legal advice. A lawyer will usually go in there and represent you in court, which takes all that pressure off of you. Because it's already been a hard process to get here. You've already had to relive through some traumatic experiences, so it's better then that you don't have to go and say all of those things to the magistrate.
Yes.
So if you do have that opportunity, absolutely take the opportunity to speak to a duty lawyer.
Okay.
The magistrate will then ask you or your duty lawyer some questions about why you need an order and what kind of protections you need in that order. So they'll ask about the conditions that you need.
Right.
So every protection order that's made has what we call the mandatory condition on it. So that's that you be of good behaviour and not commit acts of domestic violence against the aggrieved.
Right.
Then there are extra conditions you can ask for. You can ask for conditions not to come near your house, not to come near you when you're at any place, not to contact you, not to try and locate you, and also protections for other people that might need protection, like your children or your parents that you live with, anything like that. So on your first occasion, if you're the aggrieved person, you'll go and you'll explain that to the magistrate and they'll make a decision. The next time you come back, the matter will be adjourned, and the next time you come back, then the application will have been given to the respondent, and that person will need to be at court as well.
Okay. So I imagine for some people the thought of that process could be quite frightening.
That's right.
So does the person applying for the domestic violence order, do they have to be in court?
They do have to be there.
And do they often come face to face with the other party?
Well, the court has put in place lots and lots of precautions to make sure that you're not at danger when you come to court. So if you are an aggrieved person, especially if you're a female aggrieved person, there's usually a safe area. So you'll be required to check in at court when you get there. There's usually a desk with some people, volunteers, who will check you and make sure you're ticked off and you've told them whether or not you're seeing a duty lawyer, if you want to represent yourself, or if you've got a private lawyer coming. And they will ask you if you'd like to go into the safe room. If you are eligible to go into the safe room, take that opportunity so that you don't have to wait in the same area as the perpetrator in your matter. They will also have security on duty, and you can contact security at any point, and they can physically separate you. They can put you in different areas of the courthouse. You will have to be in the same room of them when you go in to have your matter heard. Now, domestic violence court is a closed court, so that means the only people who are allowed in the court are the magistrate, the magistrate's staff, any lawyers and prosecutions from police, and the two parties. So there can't be anybody else in that room. It's a private matter, nobody else gets to know. But if you are in that room and you are representing yourself, you will be sitting at the same table, essentially, as the perpetrator. Prosecutions will normally make sure they sit in between you so that you're not sitting right next to them. But if you do have a duty lawyer and you are very scared, you can ask your duty lawyer if you may stay in the safe room or stay outside rather than coming in and facing that person. And they will usually organise something to enable you to do that. So there are lots of safety measures in place.
And that's probably really important, I think, for people to understand that, that safety and wellbeing is taken very seriously by the court, but also that there are supports available at court on each step of the way.
That's right. So as the aggrieved person, there will normally be a women's support service there who can give you some tips with safety planning. You can link in with them to assist you with counselling if you need it. If you are a person responding to an application, there's going to be a lawyer there to speak to you and give you some advice on what you can do and what's going to happen in court.
All right, we might leave it there for today, and perhaps in the next video have a chat around domestic violence orders when you have children
Yep.
as well. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.